We'd like to welcome you back to part 2 of our current event and weekly Bible study for April 27th, 2014. And we're going to do some audios now, some audio clips, and kind of to solidify what we've already covered in part 1. First one's from a man named Fabian Calvo, and it's entitled BLM and the Deals for the Chinese Investors. So this further brings some clarification to what we've already covered from another expert, not Sam, one expert, but these other people that wrote the articles were also experts on this particular subject. So I'll go ahead and start this off.
Hi, I'm Greg Hunter. Welcome to USAWatchdog.com. With us back again, our real estate expert, the NoteHouse.us, his company, buys and sells $100 million of real estate and notes and distressed property a year. We're talking about Fabian Calvo. Fabian Calvo, thank you for joining us today on USA Watchdog.
Thanks for having me, Greg. It's always a pleasure.
Well, you know, in the pre-interview, you were talking about some of the biggest things happening in real estate, and let's just fast forward to this situation going out in Nevada, the Bundy, I think it's the Bundy Ranch, where he's having hundreds of his cattle being, confiscated by the Bureau of Land Management. He's been grazing his cattle on this Nevada land for years and years, decades, I guess, and all of a sudden the BLM is coming in and kicking him out. What's going on with this kind of act? Why do they want to attack a farmer and start killing hundreds of head of his cattle?
Yeah, this story's been going on for now a little bit over a week, and literally, actually much longer. And the hair on the back of my neck, Greg, it was standing up when I was doing a lot of research and speaking to some of my contacts on Wall Street. But so the BLM, it's part of the Department of Interior. Well, you look at the Department of Interior, what have they been doing? Well, they've been, through the BLM, confiscating land and going after land, for example, in the high desert in California, all over the place. And what I'm hearing is that, they're basically categorizing all this land for future collateralization to sell off. I mean, look, in the Weimar...
So for future collateralization, meaning they're going ahead and just basically taking all of this land ahead of time. So they're going to for future collateralization, so that whatever debt, whatever debtor that they've incurred to, whether it's the Chinese or anyone else, they'll already have this land pre-positioned in place that they can, make some other sweetheart deal for and give it away, and also take your land rights away in the process, take away your ability to be on that land. And this is all by design, being done all over the place. This is just one isolated incident where somebody finally actually stood up.
Hyperinflation, right? After the hyperinflation, what did they back their currency with? They backed it with mortgages. They backed it with land. This is a total possibility here in America, but here's what's even more sinister and crazy. The Department of the Interior, which is the BLM is part of the Department of the Interior.
Bureau of Land Management.
Yes, the Bureau of Land Management. They have been approving, because I know one of the gentlemen who financed one of these deals, provided the capital for it, structured the whole entire deal. They have been providing sweetheart deals for Chinese investors. I have a laundry list here of deals that have been approved in the last year, whether it's Smithfield, a gigantic hog producer, the number one hog producer in America, all of the farmland that they own in America. Overnight, the Chinese became the number one employer in a ton of cities across the U.S., but it doesn't stop there. Solar companies, solar fields are getting approval for to build them. Chinese investors are. The battery companies that they've taken over. I mean, the list goes on and on. People can just check this out. And the USDA also gave them approval to import their chickens. Why is this happening? Because it is an end-of-the-road situation where it's just like America was with England when we were exercising leverage over them around World War II, because we were the largest creditor nation. Now we're the largest debtor nation. We owe all this money to the Chinese, and in order to not have them dump our debt, we're basically allowing them, through the Department of the Interior, who is stealing rancher land, killing their cattle. They're literally selling out America, and this is probably one of the biggest stories going on right now in the world of real estate, I believe, Greg.
So they're going to take and collateralize, sell off America, is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
they're in the process of selling off America.
I mean, that's why I wanted to play this clip. This guy just really nailed it, solidified what we just covered in part 1 regarding this. That was just one little tiny incident with the Clive and Bundy thing. Important, yes, very important. But almost more important because it brings to light this. How this is taking place in a massive scale across America on so many levels, and how the Chinese are essentially becoming our masters. I mean, it's unbelievable.
They are literally in the process of doing this. I think this Bundy Ranch situation could be like the Lexington and Concord of the Second American Revolution. I know that sounds like hyperbole, but I mean, look, people are waking up, I think, to this insanity, and when this information gets out, I mean, look, these people, in essence, drew first blood here, Greg, and we need a peaceful, show of we're not going to take this. We literally need a Rambo that's going to take these people on, a Rambo of the financial sector to expose their crimes and what's going on.
Well, what's the implication down the road if we don't wake up and do something? Is China just going to own big swaths of America?
Well, again, people need to understand that this isn't like a theory that's happening. This is an actual fact. They could just, all you need to do is Google U.S. Interior Department, China approves or something like that, and you'll see all of these stories come up and things that they've been approved of, deals that they've been approved of. I think you look back in history and you see when world reserve currencies are shaky, whether it was the French, whether it was the English that had the world reserve currency, you see that in order to keep that world reserve currency, keep that Ponzi scheme up that the U.S. basically has, as long as possible, they need to be able to collateralize stuff and do all these sweetheart deals so that the country that basically has us over a barrel, in this case China, doesn't dump our debt. And one more point on this too, Greg.
So this is all about propping up the dollar. To keep that dollar, printing that, American dollar, fiat, Ponzi scheme, printing that thing out of pure thin air with nothing backing it. You got to keep that scheme going. And this is one of the main ways they're doing it. Not only do we owe them tons on all of the debt we owe them, but this has to do with propping up the dollar to keep that going, to keep that scam a-rolling. And so that's what this is all about.
Just last month, we had this BBC documentary where Hank Paulson, former Secretary of Treasury, comes out and says, in the '08 crash, he was on the phone with the Chinese pleading, that's his word, not mine, pleading for them not to dump U.S. mortgage-backed securities, which in all of this QE, make no mistake, a lot of that MBS, mortgage-backed securities that the Fed was buying, was a lot of the garbage they sold to China. They're now buying it back, and it's literally worthless garbage pieces of paper.
Oh, so that's what this, whatever it be, well, now I think it's about $25 billion a month going to the banks, buying their toxic mortgage debt. Is that right? Isn't that the now number? It's $55 billion total, $25 billion a month?
Yeah, that's the number, the number they tell the general public. I don't believe any of those numbers. I mean, how do you have, look, last week we had interest rates go down, 30-year rates, 15-year rates went down. How do you have rates going down? And Yellen has said, look, I'm going to keep rates low. We got to keep them really low. They understand in order for there to be any recovery, there needs to be a real estate recovery. How do you keep rates low if they're not buying long-term debt or continuing to buy debt? It makes absolutely no sense. And I think they're absolutely lying. Not only are they lying,
they're lying about how much they're buying. They're buying way more.
I know for a fact they have been. I mean, I know from people that are in closed door meetings with the Fed that when they were saying $85 billion, it was really $125 billion. I've been saying that for at least 6 months.
What is it now?
Well, now I don't know if it's 125 still, but bottom line is I don't believe anything that they're saying. It's much more because the economy hasn't gotten any better. And so, look, their balance sheet's now over $4.3 trillion, the Fed's. And here's another point people need to understand, because I always say all of these stories are connected, Greg. You have these banker suicides, these banker murders. They're being killed. It's pretty obvious now. I mean, look, suicide prevention people will tell you, you don't get so many people jumping off a cliff or jumping off a building. That's not even the way people commit suicide. It's like 10% of people who commit suicide jump off a building. Anyways,
Okay, and again, that's something that's just been going on ongoing. more and more banker suicides. I mean, all 2, 3 every week still. 1, 2, 3 every week, it seems like. That's just been ongoing. So that also plays into this.
Look, the people on Wall Street that I speak with tell me that it's totally not only plausible, some of them believe these people are being murdered to prevent an economic Edward Snowden from exposing the financial fraud and crimes that are taking place. The system is scared to death, and that's why I'm saying we need
So the bankers are being killed off. Key bankers in key positions that know too much, are being killed off so that they don't ever open their mouths about all of the just unbelievably treasonous, illegal activity that's taking place in the banking industries worldwide.
Financial Rambo to come out and literally expose what they're doing. And you're talking, you and I often talk off interview, and you ask me, well, what's the black swan that could, derail their pump and dump schemes and everything else you got going on for the real estate market? Because the real estate market, I got a lot to say about that too, but and it's the fraud being exposed. I mean, look, if you have an economic Edward Snowden come out and expose the fraud of the derivatives, the credit default swaps, the manipulation of interest rates, it's game over. I mean, you need trust in the financial market for it to operate. And if trust blows up, it's game over. And Greg, you see the cracks already taking place. The market plunged 2% yesterday. NASDAQ did at least. Last Friday, market was down. In my opinion, I think people are really getting shaky as far as the trust in this financial market.
Okay, so he really good synopsis of not only what's going on at the Bundy ranch, but how that relates to the propping up of the dollar and the banker suicides and how all of this is really interrelated. What's going on there? So I wanted to play that clip there. Okay, so let's go to the next report. And it's entitled Bundy Ranch, 20 State Reps from the Coalition for Western States. This is a call to Oathkeepers and militia members rotating shifts to commence at Bundy Ranch. Michael Doyle sent a message to the Next News Network saying we need 30 to 50 men to man and post guard duty for rotating shifts. See, they can't, the thing is that Harry Reid and the BLM and them, they can't have Americans bowing up to them and making that statement. I knew when this happened that it's just a matter of time before they come back in. And that's why I think the more media press this gets in a positive way toward, I guess you call them the patriots, the better. Now, again, when they come out this week and, demonize Clive and Bundy or whatever, they're doing that so that when they do make their big push or whatever, they'll have supposed more justification because he's a dirty, filthy racist anyway, that a law-breaking, dirty, filthy racist that needs to go down because Harry Reid has to have that, solar farm to, that all that land so that he can collude with the Chinese to make another sweetheart deal. And you can't have some little ant standing up to Satan and bowing up to Satan. No. We can't tolerate that. That's not the type of message we want to send to America. So that's what this is all about. So I'm going to go ahead and play this little clip here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and play this.
Hey, what's up, everybody out there in YouTube world? I got a quick update for you, ranch update. Michael Doyle just sent me a message on our YouTube inbox. He's saying we need 30 to 50 men to man posts for guard duty and rotate shifts. We've got a field kitchen and 3 meals a day. If homeless vets want to help, we are occupying the ranch for 3+ months. So if you're a homeless vet or if you wanted to go out and help, the watch shifts have commenced and they need people out there. So they want 30 to 50 men on standby around the clock. You will be fed. You will be taken care of by the good folks out there. So comment below if you need to interact with some of the people and need more information, and share this video. Get the word out. Thanks.
So that was just one of the things they're
What's
doing
up,
there.
Everybody out there, and YouTube.
Sorry about that. And then the next is also meet the coalition. 20 state legislators from Utah, Nevada, Arizona, Montana, and Idaho have teamed up together to make sure this doesn't happen again. I mean, I think it's absolutely wishful thinking, but I do think it's great at the same time. Make sure this doesn't happen again, and that the federal land is transferred to the state level, allowing the states and the counties to manage the land, not some faraway federal bureaucrat in Washington. And let's go ahead and just play this clip here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and play this.
We've got more video now coming in from our camera operator down at the Bundy Ranch. This video is with the Coalition of Western States, the state representatives that traveled from a number of western states down to the Bundy Ranch. Matt Shea from the 4th Legislative District of Washington, Robert Korber from Arizona, Michelle Fiore, who is in Nevada, Barry Weller from Apache County, Arizona, David Taylor from Washington State. Let's go now to their comments at the Bundy Ranch.
This isn't going to stop here with the Bundy Ranch. It's already happening in other places in America, like up in North Idaho with the Sackett family, Bill Demers in eastern Washington, and also previously in Nevada with the H family. So we're here together because this is not going to stop with just this happening. And I also want to say very clearly that this is a war on rural America, and that's why I'm proud to announce today that we are forming a coalition of western states. I'll let you figure out what the acronym stands for. And here's the other part of this that is great. 20 state legislators out of this morning from Utah, Idaho, Montana, Arizona, and Nevada have joined this coalition to make sure that this does not happen again, and we transfer federal lands to the state level and allow the states and the counties to manage this land, not far away Washington, D.C. Last thing I would say is a 10-year Army combat...
So you see they're getting some momentum with this. I mean, and now we're dealing with state legislators that are really jumping on this bandwagon. And this is why this came out this week with Clive and Bundy, to get all of these people doing this to back off. Because now it turns into something, a race issue, against blacks. When, okay, it's not even about that. It's not even remotely about... But, of course, we always have to play the race card. We always got to throw that in there, And, Desert Tortoise thing wasn't working, so now let's throw in the race card. And I really saw a lot of positive momentum up until this last weekend when Glenn Beck came out with his hit piece and all of these things going on, all by design, because they've got to try to stop this momentum.
A veteran, it is chilling to watch people who join the military to defend American citizens point rifles on American soil at American citizens and women and children. A sniper rifle is not due process, and we cannot let that stand as legislators, regardless of what state we're in.
Hello, I'm Robert Corbell. I'm from Greenlee County, Arizona. I agree with everything he says, and this assumed jurisdiction that they have for this property rights also applies to the Endangered Species Act, their environmental law. They're using an assumed jurisdiction to promote and use this to take property rights all over the nation, and it's got to be stopped. The Constitution's being trampled on, and we need to do something about it. The people are finally standing up. Thank God. God bless.
My name is Michelle Fiore. I'm Nevada State Assemblywoman for District 4. I have to tell and urge all of you to please get to know each and every one of your elected officials. Whomever's running for office in your county, in your city, call them, meet them, get to know them, and make sure that they stand with you, and they'll stand on the front lines when a disaster like this is about to happen.
Now, I don't know if they mentioned this. This is all they're at the Bundy Ranch compound. They've got all these motorhomes and all the stuff there. When these took place, these people are being interviewed there. So the actual state legislators and these types of people are there on the Bundy Ranch, and again, really good positive momentum.
My name is Barry Weller. I'm a supervisor in Apache County, Arizona. I'm here to support the Bundys and to support this process that is going on. This conflict is not new, and it's not over. This conflict is not singular. It's widespread, as my compadres say. This is a war in rural America. We need you to stand up. I'm here to call all those thousands of other supervisors to stand up for your citizens. We are like the sheriff. We are to protect our citizens. We're not to be ruling them and showing them what to do. We are here to protect them. And when issues like this come up, we need to stand with them and protect them. I call on you to do that.
This is State Representative David Taylor, 15th District from Moxie, Washington. Folks, it's time for action. It's right now. We've got to take the action. It means at the local level, our county commissioners take action through coordination to ensure they have a seat at the table so that they're there and they know early when something like this with the Bundy family is going to happen. It's time for our state legislators from all over the West to move forward with federal land transfers to get the land back under the management of the states. Best government is the government closest to the people. If we've been asked why we made the trip from Washington down here, folks, it's real simple. If we don't stand up right now for our neighbors, there won't be anybody left when they come for us. God bless all of you.
Nice.
Well done. Let's do one last thing.
Okay.
For everybody,
Really nice to see some state, local level type of legislators making this kind of stand. Vocally. I mean, it's encouraging. It really is.
watching today, I think one of the most important lessons out of this is if we stand on principle as Americans, we don't give up, we don't back down, we win. That's why we all have to be involved. It's going to take all of us, not just legislators, not just sheriffs, but every single American to restore God-honoring constitutional republic.
Well, it looks like this coalition is certainly concerned with the situation there at the Bundy Ranch, but they're also concerned with restoring honor and integrity to the rule of law and the Constitution of the United States. Stay tuned for more on this developing story.
Okay, so the people that we just heard from, and there's links here in the PDF, were Michelle Fiore, Matt Shea, represents the 4th Legislative District, Spokane, Washington. Barry Weller, District 3, Supervisor, Apache County, Arizona. David Taylor, State Representative, 15th District. Anyway, these are just to name a few. These brave representatives are standing up for what is right and our constitutional rights. Please help the Oathkeepers. And it's saying by donating here for food, water, etc. In other words, it's what's actually feeding these crews of rotating, because, I mean, obviously Satan's out there, our government is out there wanting to take whatever try to capitalize on any weakening of the people out there, and they're just waiting. They're just waiting. So they're trying to keep up a strong show of force, but obviously that takes time, food, water, money, resources in order to do it. They plan on having revolving ships to help the Bundy and our freedoms. Next report. 50 political leaders from 9 states gather in Utah to discuss ways to take back control of federal lands. Now, this is from the Salt Lake Tribune. This happened right after this as well. Western states have gone on the offensive against the federal government as 50 political leaders from 9 western states are meeting to take back their land from federal government with accusations that the feds continue to mismanage the land that states will be better prepared to handle. Now, this is something totally different than what the legislators we just had. This is a whole totally different meeting. We learn here that this meeting was planned prior to the Bundy Ranch standoff, and they only term as a symptom of the overall problem. The video below is a must-see interview with the BLM whistleblower who exposes the military-industrial complex's role in the Fed's actions against the Bundy Ranch. And you can click there to watch it if you like. I'm not going to play that one. It's time for the western states to take control of federal land within their borders. Lawmakers and county commissioners from western states said on Utah's Capitol on Friday. More than 50 political leaders from 9 states convened for the first time to talk about their joint goal, which is wresting control of oil, timber, and mineral-rich lands away from the feds. Well, that's pretty wishful thinking, but at least there's talk of this, and there's an effort, toward that. And then it goes on to say, Representative Ken Ivory says, it's simply time. The urgency is now. Utah House Speaker Becky Lockhart was flanked by a dozen participants, including the counterparts from Idaho and Montana, during a press conference after the day-long closed-door summit. U.S. Senator Mike Lee addressed the group over lunch. Ivory said New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Wyoming, Oregon, and Washington were also representatives. So, I just thought that was kind of an encouraging thing there that we're seeing, and hopefully we'll see a lot more of it. I had this from a listener on an unrelated story. Listener update. A friend of mine from upstate New York said the local small town had a rally March 31st on which 14,000 weapons were simultaneously discharged at noon. Hopefully they didn't fire them all up in the air, because that's a lot of bullets coming down. I'm sure they didn't, but anyway, those gun owners will be joining other armed New York citizens for a march on Albany next Tuesday. I hope all of us are in prayer for them and the government to back down. Here's what she wrote. In Gloversville on March 31st, 14,000 weapons were discharged at noon. On the April 15th march in Albany, I'm sorry, I don't understand that part. Anyway, it says, he said that New York State is going upside down over trying to confiscate and register these weapons. It's turning into a fiasco. There's just tons and tons of resistance toward weapon registration and resistance. And this is what we need to have. I mean, if we just lay down to Satan and say, yeah, here, whatever you want, Satan. And then he's going to say, well, you know what? I want your wife next. I want your kids too. It's never going to end. So, that's what tyranny is. And that's what we're increasingly coming under. And people are finally starting to reach a point where they're saying, okay, enough is enough. Whatever. If I die, I die. Resisting this wicked tyranny and evil, then, and I mean, that's the thing with the Bundy. Those people were prepared to die. A lot of them were. And it could have went that route. And I think from a satanic standpoint, they were really wanting that to happen. There was a lot of indicators that was exactly the plan. And for them to have a mass slaughter of BLM agents is what they really wanted. Because then they could blame it on the wicked patriots and, just, okay, here we come. And so that's what they were really after. So that's all I have for part 2. We're going to go to then now the dedicated study regarding King James next. So God bless you, and we'll see you in the dedicated study coming up.